Okay, so we'll get started. Who do we have on the line? We have Allison and Ed. Is it just those two?
That's us.
That's
yes.
Okay.
One is the web and one is the phone of us.
Awesome. All right. Hi, everybody out in cyberspace. Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. All right. So, because it's Aaron, right? Quisenberry?
Yes, and
Aaron is not here today. I get to run the meeting, so we will be.
And he did say it's not because he's chair that he wasn't present.
Right. For the first
he
one.
had a legitimate absence.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got called it to order here. We understand who's voting in the room, so that's great. Public comment. I don't see anybody here from the public. Noting none, we will move on to item C, which is the minutes from the February 4th, 2020 meeting. We'll assume that everybody has reviewed those, and we would accept a motion to approve or discussion.
Chad Voigt's name is misspelled. Other than that, I have no issues.
All right.
He didn't have an H here.
And this is Allison. I'm going to abstain since I've missed several meetings.
Okay. So I've heard Keith has a recommendation, or not a recommendation, but a modification to change the spelling, or correct the spelling of Chad's last name, Chad Voigt, who was here for Keith last time. Is there any other discussion on those?
I don't think it had me as present, but I was here last time.
Didn't we could fix that too.
Thank you, Melinda. Any other changes? Okay, so with those two changes, we would accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Amy? Okay.
I'll second.
Second, Melinda. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, all right, motion passes.
Aye.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, moving on to.
I'm still trying to figure this thing out.
Uh-oh. Well, we didn't have to, so that's good. Okay, so item D, we've got review the 2020 UPWP for the work that Jessica and Ashley get to do for the next year.
Absolutely. So this amendment was necessary for us to program some of the additional consolidated planning grant funding that we have in our allocation and some of our carryover that we had from the end of 2019. 2020 is a final year, so the end of 2020 is a clawback, and so we wanted to take an opportunity to program some of that additional funding. There's a little bit, I believe, remaining still that we have unprogrammed that we will continue to evaluate and figure out how we're going to allocate and spend that if we can do so before the end of the year. But mainly our main proposed changes is the addition of some cost share for transit planning intern, working on things such as the public transit safety plan and other transit planning to help support our new incoming transit manager in his transition through the end of the year. And then also cost sharing 3 transportation engineering interns with municipal services and operations in an effort to further some of the implementation and data collection we've done around safe routes to school in terms of the ability to establish, hopefully in partnership with the school, some traffic control plans around school sites and data collection support for the neighborhood traffic management and much of our bikeway and pedestrian planning that needs additional local data to allow us to continue to do much of the work that we need to do on those. So that's a bulk of the funding. The other portion of the funding is a participation of $40,000 in the City of Lawrence 23rd Street, Iowa to Mass Land Use and Transportation Planning Project. This is a different section of 23rd Street than our previous 23rd Street study. So this will be round 2. And it's the entire estimated project cost is is $150,000. So this is a smaller percentage of that project that would be eligible under it as part of the transportation component of that entire plan. And so we'll be working to draft what the scope of that looks like in partnership with the city for our participation in that. That's how we had planned to evolve some of our funding and what this amendment includes. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have about our overall program or budget.
Jessica, when is that study planned to go to be solicit consultants?
Well, we have to get it approved in the UPWP, and I would assume get me back working full time, and then we will begin drafting a scope of work with the planning staff.
Late spring, early summer.
Late spring,
Okay.
early summer, you said, for when it goes out.
Okay, so you guys are planning, I'm sorry, I'm just catching up. You guys are planning to go through us, right?
Oh, absolutely. The MPO will be involved in project management. We would do it just like we do any of the expectation in our KDOT program manual.
Okay, so it'll be a little while before we go out.
Yes, we have time. We haven't drafted the scope of work, and you would include your review in that, just like we do any other project we contribute to.
Yeah, just trying to work with Matt on me getting back on board and stuff, so.
Okay.
What to expect.
Ed, do you have any questions?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions, Keith? I'm curious to know that extra 80,000 or whatever that is, 70,000. I know in years past you guys have been really great to ask for other project ideas and things like that. Do you guys have anything on your radar right now for what you'll do with the rollover and extra?
In terms of
The 228,027 to 302,213.
well, one of them is the CPG amount. There's not an additional $70,000.
Well, there was rollover from 2019, right?
That's what that's most of which I'm programming in this amendment. So that the budget increase overall is a total amount, but it includes a lot of other local match.
Okay.
So those first two are the CPG amounts, and then the numbers below are what the amounts would have been with the extra local match. So the total program budget on the project changes list.
Okay.
So this is the extra money we have planned to
I see.
program.
Okay.
We need to wait till the final allotments come out from FHWA and FTA for their final, I think I have the federal highway one, the FTA one's the one that comes later in the year, because depending on what their final amounts are, I just used historical amounts. So depending on what their final amounts are, there could be a little additional money, and we might need to do another amendment to program some of that. But I don't have necessarily right at this time additional work identified on the radar that I think we could fit within our current staffing capacity.
Got it.
Which is my biggest challenge, I think, in a lot of this is there's a lot of other work. The problem is identifying with the restriction of it being one-time funding, staffing is not really an option, and many of it would be challenging things to consult in the workload because of how it integrates or how small incremental project parts are. But we can entertain always that in future conversations about when we come back to talk about what that funding could look like. I'm always
that was
challenged.
just a point of curiosity for me. I don't really have any projects because I feel like we've kind of talked about some of those before, and like nothing, I mean, they're just they're not appropriate for probably that work. So that's fine. And then public comment, it looks like it's been out maybe less than a week. How have you guys gotten anything back yet?
I haven't received anything.
Okay, unless there are any other points of discussion or questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve or some action.
So moved.
Second? Yes, I can second it. I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Wait, was that aye for opposed or approve?
Approve.
Got it. Thank you.
It seems like a 2-second
You're welcome.
delay.
Yeah. Okay, so item number 2 on the agenda, review the City of Lawrence ethics policy and the Kansas Open Meetings Act presentation.
Right. Let me find the mouse.
Ashley reminded us this is something we're supposed to do annually with our boards and committees, so.
Seemed like one of those. I remember that last year.
All right. So, in the packet is the City of Lawrence ethics policy, and it applies to staff and then also people that are part of committees. And so, just as Jessica said, we're supposed to do this yearly. So, the main thing is not taking any gifts or anything like that. So we want to make sure we're impartial and follow regulations. And I think it's pretty much the gist of the policy. Do you have any questions about this? It's the same one from years past. Okay, so then we'll go quickly through the presentation about COMA. Here it is. Okay, so the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The main gist is we want to make it so people can participate and we don't have any decisions in secret. So that way people know what's happening and can be a part of the process. Okay. And COMA applies when a body is a covered entity and there's a meeting. So we'll talk about that. Boards like us count as a covered entity because we receive or expend public funds. And then a meeting occurs when a gathering of a majority of members are present, if there's interactive communication, and if there's a discussion of business or affairs of the body. Now for us, there's 9 members on TAC, 9 voting members, so anytime that there's 5 or more, it would be considered a majority of membership. So we need to be cognizant of that 5 number whenever we have any discussions outside of the public meetings. Interactive communications, it applies when there's interactive communications. So, and there's a slide down below, basically when we send out emails, don't reply all, because that could be considered a meeting. Discussions of the body, so social gatherings are not subject to COMA if there's no discussion of our business. And conferences are okay as long as we don't discuss the business of the TAC. And here's about electronic communications. Don't reply all. That's why we try to do the blind CC whenever we email you about various things dealing with this committee. And serial meetings are when one person talks to another, who talks to another, and we chain together some decisions because, again, we want all of our decisions to be in the public view, and so people can know what's happening, and so we should not do that. And okay, so in summary, this applies to us, this committee, and anytime there's a majority of the members, interactive communication, and anytime when we talk about things that are pertaining to TAC. And, we need to give public notice. So we send out our agendas for all of our meetings a week in advance to meet this requirement. They don't actually tell us how far in advance, but that's what we've said as what's a good thing to do. And we need to have our meetings in public places. And as you know, all members of the public are welcome to our meetings, and we want people to comment if they have any comments. There's where it doesn't have to be any specific time. And we're not required to do an agenda, but we do them to help with the meeting flow. And we should not have executive sessions for TAC. And there's serious consequences if we violate COMA, so we don't want to. Again, we want to be open and transparent to the public. And there's some more issues if we don't follow it. And then if you have any questions, you can ask us. And then if you have any specific questions, we can follow up with the city's attorney's office to let you know. there we go.
That was a good presentation. Is that LKM or did you guys put that together?
No,
That's
our
the
city's attorney's
City's
office
attorney's
put
did,
that
yeah.
together.
That's good. That's one of the most concise, like, I don't know. I like that. That's good. Any questions or discussion on COMA for Ashley or city staff? Okay. And no action is needed on that, it looks like. Okay. So, quick updates. Safe routes to school planning in the communities.
Want me to talk?
Okay.
All right, so we are making progress on all 3 plans. We actually have a meeting set up with Eudora at the end of March to talk about the draft plan and some of the policies that we want to ask you about to see how you feel would move forward in Eudora. And the same thing with Baldwin City, we're working to set that meeting up. And our timeline for plan completion is hopefully May or June, somewhere around then. And then we're kind of on the same timeline with Lawrence. We have drafted a plan. We're working through some processes with the school board and city management to figure out the best way to move forward with some specific policies regarding the crossing guards, because we evaluated all of them, and just safe routes to school in general. So we're moving through that process, and we'll hopefully have the plan ready for approval or public comment and then approval in May as well.
You mentioned planning commission. Are you planning to come to the Eudora planning commission meeting? Or
No, I
what's
didn't
that
mean to say
process?
planning commission.
Oh, okay.
Just moving through the planning process.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
I may have misunderstood. Okay.
yeah.
Any questions about what's going on with that? Okay, thanks for your work on that. And then the countywide bikeway plan.
Yeah, so same kind of timeline. We're working on them concurrently, and we'll be discussing options with both, like all the communities except for Lawrence, basically, because we already completed the Lawrence Bikes plan over the summer. So we're attempting to finish up that plan in May or June as well. We'll see timeline-wise, though.
Is that countywide? Or
Yes,
is
it is.
that
Yeah.
not just for the cities?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Right, in the unincorporated areas, is what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Right.
That will pick up some of the conversations we had over a year ago.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Are those conversations happening? Have they been happening? Like, or is it just like
So we
something that'll
had
be
them
dusted off?
previously, and we've
Mhm.
brought back stuff, and we've been working on stuff, and we have stuff to bring back to present
Yeah.
as the proposed recommendations.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of workload that kind of got pushed off
Okay.
Yeah.
because it was less pressing than some of the other work.
So does this have to do with the consultant that was applied for or something at the county level for looking at countywide recreational facilities?
You mean their open space
Yes.
work? So we've had conversations with Jasmine Moore
Yeah.
about coordinating some of that in terms of some of the planning, but it's not, besides it being just like us having a conversation about where we're looking at in terms of their space and our network, it doesn't have to do with that. It has to do more with MPO staff workload
Okay.
timelines and me taking the interim transit manager role and our ability to do that work
Okay.
when we've been lesser staffed.
Sure.
And I spoke with Jasmine the other day. The open space plan is a little bit on a delayed timeline
Yeah.
because of their staffing changes and things too.
Right.
So I think they're going to pick that back up
Okay.
probably over the summer also.
So this will be somewhat coordinated, or at least you guys know that that process is happening and they know
Yeah.
that this process is happening. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right, any other business or any questions about the Bikeway plan? Okay, any other business? All
Does
right.
anybody want to talk about TA announcements?
I'm sure Ed does.
Ed, I was waiting for you.
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay.
Actually, we're very excited. We got $1 million, a little over $1 million, to finish up to put our first stage of our Maple Leaf Trail. It's a half-mile section. So we're very excited about that, and that wraps up our West Baldwin connectivity project. So we're very excited, the council is, and we're not, I guess it will be bid out sometime in 2020 with construction, probably the latter part of 2020, 2021, something like that, I believe. But we're very excited.
Congratulations. And congratulations, City of
Thank you.
Lawrence, for your grant approval award.
Yes, two.
2 of them, yeah.
Two of them, yeah. Save $400,000 for safe routes to school and about $1 million for the loop and KTA undercrossing. So
Were there any other projects in the county that applied?
I
for
believe
more?
those were the 3 that, there was 4 in the county that applied. The City of Lawrence had 1 more, and we got 3 out of 4 for the county.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So you'll see those in a future tip amendment.
Yay.
Yes.
Those get announced.
The what?
When did those get announced?
About, what, 3 weeks ago or so?
Yeah.
I think it was even more recently than that.
Maybe
Was
so.
it?
Last week or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Does anybody know when the forward projects are going to be announced?
No, that's probably sometime later, late spring, summer is when I would expect it to start pushing out some of the forward projects. They're pushing really hard to get the old T-Works projects out of the pipeline before they move forward with that. No pun intended.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's the last I heard.
Jessica, I can check on that for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the result of those really cool local consult meetings that were held and to see what that
Yeah.
plan actually is.
We'll be doing it more often, so
You what?
we will be doing it more often. Every couple of years, we'll be going through this process.
Yeah.
So it's a little different than we're used to.
Because typically the state chooses all 10 years of projects at once.
With a little bit of,
Yeah.
with a little bit of flexibility when truly worthwhile stuff that just can't be ignored comes up. But this leaves it more of an open door every 2 years. So maybe what we should have been doing for the last couple of programs. And it actually resulted in people saying, I don't want this project. You know, free the money up for something else. That has happened.
Hey Jessica, this is Allison. Can
Yep.
you help me out? Who was the last speaker?
Steve.
Steve Ballman?
Okay, sorry, I didn't know you were joining in on the call.
Sorry about that.
He's here in person. He's
for
been.
KDOT over
Who's
there.
speaking for
Yeah, I was like, I'm the PR. Yes, who's there? Okay, thank you.
Steve's been attending TAC recently.
Okay.
Inserted myself in.
Yeah, I will say, you know, the local consult meetings where we as staff or someone who's somewhat interested to come to them being asked about the validity or the need for certain projects, since that day where I felt like I was giving confident responses, now I'm driving certain roads and I'm thinking, my gosh, this is so much worse than I thought. So I don't know, it seems somewhat problematic because it's almost like
You've got to understand.
you don't realize, yeah, right. So I don't know. Now I kind of wonder how much of that process and those priorities will be hinged on people either not driving those roads very often or driving them but not really being, mindful as they are about the actual road condition. So if like some of those priorities are chosen based on things I said, I'm gonna feel really bad. And I'm guessing I'm not the only one who feels like that. So I'm kind of curious to see.
Well, it developed some activity over in Topeka over a certain very high-priced project. Quincy Viaduct is getting a whole bunch of attention now, and maybe kicking it along, helping to move it along where it was stalled before. Here locally, it's been the same pressure it's always been in South Orange traffic.
Yeah,
West
that's
Line.
it.
Everybody wants it. So it had its supporters, and it was always going to have some attention given to it no matter what. But Quincy Viaduct suddenly came back out of the freezer for us, which scares me. So,
Well, Topeka had like half the people in the room, I swear.
yeah.
Maybe the next meeting needs to be held more and some. Okay, any other business or questions about anything? Okay. So our next meeting is April 7th, 2020. I assume that is the second Tuesday of the month. Is that right?
It should be the first.
First Tuesday? Is that what we mean?
Yeah, we just
Okay.
delayed this one a week.
Okay, all right, at 1:30 here in Lawrence, and I think that Jessica already has that calendar appointment on most of our calendars, so. I forget, do we need a motion to adjourn, or just?
No.
Nope.
All right, so we just stop talking.
Call it.
All right, so the meeting's over, thank you.